Have you ever had the debate whether to send handmade cards or photo cards for Christmas? I have good news for you. You don't have to choose. In this video, I want to share with you 6 ideas for how to incorporate photos onto your handmade cards and send both in one. I'm Anna Helman. I'm thankful that you're here with me today. Let's get started. The first idea I have for you is very simple, but it is what I have done for our Christmas cards for the last several years, okay? I always send handmade cards because, like this is what I do. So I always send handmade cards. And then just to keep it simple, I just include a photo of our family inside. So if you print 4x6 photos, if you make regular A2 size cards that measure 4¼ by 5½, all you have to do is take that 4x6 photo, trim off about ½ inch at the end, and they will fit inside. So this is one idea for what you can do to include photos with your cards. I will mention this lovely Believe card has some really fun techniques on it. If you have any interest in learning how to make this particular card, I'm going to include a link in the video description below to that tutorial. Now here is another idea, and this is pretty simple and straightforward, and it's just to add your photo to the front of a card. So I've taken a card base here, I added some designer paper to the front and a photo mat, and I can add this. Now I did want to mention, you'll see some greetings here that I've added popped up and laid over the photo, but I did want to mention the option of stamping on the photos. So my greeting here says, "'Tis the season to be jolly." A couple of things you want to keep in mind if you want to stamp on your photos. One, if you have a photo that has either a mostly light spot or a mostly dark spot, it's going to make it easier to see your greeting. So on this one, it's all kind of mixed up on this photo. I didn't have a sample to show you that was ideal. So it makes it a little bit difficult to see the greeting in certain spots, but you can definitely still see it. So if you have a light spot, you can use darking to stamp. If you have a dark photo, you can use lighting to stamp. And I tried 2 different types of ink and had good luck with both of these. You don't want to use regular water-based ink. It won't dry correctly and it's going to cause problems. But StazOn is what I used right here, which is permanent. It dries fairly quickly on glossy surfaces. You definitely still want to give it some time to dry though. And then also I tried this Whisper White craft ink, and I'll show you the result I got with this. And something else you want to keep in mind is to choose some greetings that are nice and bold. Bigger greetings, more bold letters are going to make them a lot easier to see. So those are a couple of tips for that. Now, one other thing, if you happen to have a Stamparatus or another stamping platform, I want to share with you a quick tip that I do this occasionally, but I don't think I've actually shared this with you before. So I was going to put my photo in here and stamp the greeting over here on the right side. But as you may know if you've used this, sometimes when you stamp right over here really close to the hinges, it just doesn't want to stamp all the way. So here is an easy tip that makes life so much easier. Flip your Stamparatus around so that you can still look at your project face up. You could actually do this upside down, but I don't really like to look at letters and greetings upside down. I want to make sure they're straight and look at them right side up if possible. So just turn your Stamparatus around. I've actually cut this photo since then, but it was somewhere out about here. I laid that stamp on there where I wanted it, mounted it to my plate, and now I can stamp this direction, and it's not right over here by my hinge. So wanted to share that quick tip with you. So now I can add my photo to the front of this card, and really quick and easy card with our photo on the front. Now these next ideas get to be a little bit more fun, so I'm excited to share them. Here is one I created. I'm going to call this a peek through card or a frame. So I'll tell you how I did this in just a second, but here's how it works. You can see the photo from the front, but then when you open it, that frame uncovers and you can just see the photo. So here's how I created this. I used a piece of cardstock that measures 4¼ by 11, scored it in the center, and then I attached my photo mat up here, and I laid my laid my die right on there, my deckled rectangle die. I use these quite a bit in this for these projects. You're going to see 2 more ideas for how I used these deckled rectangles. They're really nice. They come in all different sizes, which is nice. And so I laid my photo mat on there, laid this on, ran it through my die cutting machine, and it cut that piece out. And then I just cut my photo to the size I wanted it to be so that it would be centered in the frame. Added a mat here. And then since I am not going to be able to add a greeting on the inside, I decided I wanted a spot on the back for that. So I added a piece of white to the back with my greeting, and I created some greetings I wanted to pop up and show you. I just put adhesive over here and on the bottom so that this doesn't glue my card shut. But I created all of these greetings. Actually, I'll show you here. So I used 3 stamp sets on these. If you see anything that you love, Hope and Peace is a really nice one with spiritual sayings. Framed and Festive is some nice fun ones that are a little bit bigger. And then this is that one that the greeting I'd stamped with the white ink over the photo came from that set right there. Okay, so here we have this. Oh, and this, my double oval punch. You're gonna see this several times. One of my favorites because you can do the oval and the mat behind it all with that same punch. Okay, so there's my second card, my third card technically. The next one, we're going to do a fun little technique. So here is my card base, and I have prepared a frame to go on top. Now I used some foam adhesive strips around 3 of the edges. I put one along the bottom and one along each side. You don't have to worry about getting them all the way to the corners. That's not important, but you do want to make sure there's nothing up here. What I want to do, I'll remove the paper backing from these pieces and we'll get this attached to our card. The designer paper that I used on all of these, it came from the Boughs of Holly designer paper pack, and I'll have links for all these products in the video description below so you can take a look at them if you're interested. Okay, so it's mounted on here and it is popped up a little bit. Now what we can do is slide our photo in right here, which I've already cut to the correct size, and we have a fun little photo frame where your photo is still removable. So let's say they want to hang just the photo on the refrigerator or on their wall somewhere or something. You have this, which can still be removed. And then again, here is my little tag that I've created. Added some glimmer paper on this one because, I mean, we all like some sparkle, right? Oh, I meant to add my tape to down there. I'm gonna have to fix that because again, I don't want my tag to stick to the photo. But there's another idea for how to use a photo on your card. If you wanted them to know it was removable, you can make a little note inside if you don't think they'll figure it out. Now, does anybody like fun fold cards? I'm excited about this one. We are going to make a fun fold, and I'm starting with a regular card base. The measure is 5.5 by 8.5, and I want to do a little bit of scoring on it. Now, I get a lot of questions about these lines on my trimmer. I will include a link in the description below that explains these lines on the base of my trimmer, which is basically a system I came up with to make it easy to cut photo mats and photo bases. Photo mats, thinking about photos, card mats and card bases, so that I don't have to remember the sizes, okay? So I just scored this at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. And what we'll do now, we will score this in half. And then this other one, we can score this too if we want to. I want to get this so it lays flat. And I'll show you what I have prepared here. I prepared a photo in the mat for the front. Now, if you want the measurements for this, I will have them on my website, and the link for that's below. So go to my website, get all the measurements for this card. But I matted my photo with just a white photo mat. And what I want to do is attach this to the front just on the bottom here. This is a type of easel card that is really easy to create, as you can see. So get that centered, press it down. It's only going to be attached to the bottom. So then as I lift up, it is going to display our photo. So let me show you how to finish this. Here on the inside, I'm going to attach the piece I've prepared. It's a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of white. And I attached a piece to the bottom, a piece of that pretty designer paper that is 2 inches wide by 5 1/4. And then I have a 1/2 inch strip here that I need to pop up with some dimensionals. And we're going to add this to the inside. This will be the piece that holds our easel fold up so that it can be displayed on a shelf or a table or a desk. And I did prepare a greeting. Let's add this before I open it up and show you the big reveal. So I pop this up with some dimensionals, okay? So when it comes out of the envelope, it looks like this. And then when they open it, it looks like this, but they can actually display it. And that card catches down there on that little strip. And we have a really nice photo card that can be displayed. So I love that idea. That is one of my favorites. And this next one is really fun too. I think you might like this. So one, do you know what a shaker card is? If you watch along and do a lot of card making, you probably do. If not, this may be new to you. But we're going to make a shaker card with a photo, which I think is a really fun idea to just make it a little bit more fun. So what I've done here, I attached the photo to the card base. I created one of these frames with that deckled rectangle die again. And then behind that, I attached a piece of window sheet, this clear acetate. On the back side, I have used some of those foam adhesive strips again. I did the same thing as on that frame, the insert card I showed you a few minutes ago, except on this one, it's really important that you get these all sealed up so that there are no gaps between them on the corners. Remove the backing. And then before I put, if you've made a shaker card, have you ever messed up the order and got to the end and not quite done it correctly? I have several times, and I was getting ready to attach the frame without putting my shakers in. So that would be a problem. You have to put the shakers on first. So I just put these here in the center. You want to keep them away from the edges where the frame is going to be attached. Lay this down, look down from above and try and get it centered. Now I dropped it quick for a second before I wanted to. Oh, heavens to Betsy. Somebody said to me not too long ago, well, I haven't heard that in a long time. And I was like, well, I think I say it every day, probably a lot of times every day. Okay, so I got that in place, press it down. You want to make sure that's sealed up really well so your sequins or whatever shakers you're putting in here don't start getting out through the little gaps. Let's put the tag on. And now you can see the sequins will move around in there. So just a fun idea for your photo card. So I hope this gives you some ideas of ways you can incorporate photos onto your handmade Christmas cards and not feel like you have to choose one or the other. If you're interested in any of the products I use, the links are in the video description below. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you subscribe if you're new. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.